Is that a nice smallmouth? Oh, good fish. There are northerns and muskie here in McGregor Bay that would eat this fish. What was that? I think that was a pike. Hello.
Let's go fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Yamaha, conquer outdoors. Defend Products, eco-friendly protection from biting insects. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922.
We're having a great time here on Lake Huron. We're actually on Manitoulin Island, and we're covering the Wikwemikong Bass and Pike Derby. And one of the things that they've done, Wikwemikong Tourism had a draw for a person to fish with the pros. So there's going to be a person that's actually going to join us, and he's going to come out and fish out of the camera boat, the same areas that we're fishing and doing the TV show. Now I understand the person that won, his name is Brian Still, and he's not just a winner, he's also a guide. So actually I'm going to see some of his best spots, and I should be able to catch some fish. So let's go meet him. Brian,
hello,
how are you doing?
Nice to meet you, sir.
Now you're a seasoned guide?
Yes.
But you look so young. How old are you?
I am 22 years old, and I recently just started the guiding business this summer.
Good. What's the name of your business?
Stillwater fishing.
Okay.
We run out of McGregor Bay, Ontario.
Good. So how did you end up winning the thing? Did you just buy a ticket? How did it work?
Well, I saw through Facebook the competition was posted, and through the Canadian Sport Fishing website, since I follow it a lot. But I saw that, and they had a chance to, you entered a photo and then a story about yourself, about what your passions are towards fishing. Well, that's what I did with my story anyways. I told
Was it a photo of you or of a
yes,
girl?
Yes, a photo of me and all my best catches of 2014 so far.
What was it?
I had 3 muskies in there, over 30 pounds.
What?
I had a largemouth that was over 10 pounds.
So you are a seasoned pro.
A couple smallmouth, big smallmouth in there, and some big pike.
So what do you think the strategy is going to be to fish out here? What have you got planned? Because I'm kind of looking to you to show me some of the spots.
Okay. Well, for out here, the bass fishing and pike fishing is amazing. So we'll probably do a lot of shoreline working for pike and a lot of working the shoals for bass.
Now the water's really clear. Are the fish spooky because of that or not?
Oh no, it makes for such fun fishing out here. You get to see them before they even bite.
You know, we've got a great morning here. We're fishing Lake Huron, and we're targeting some pike. And what I've got on is a very popular lure for northerns. This is called a husky jerk. The nice thing about this lure is that you can cast and retrieve it, or you can twitch it. So this guy hit on a cast and retrieve. He's not a big pike, but you can see the way he smacked that lure. I'm using a red and white, which is really popular when it comes to casting spoons. They used to call them daredevils. So you can see he's got one hook in the mouth and one he's kind of pegged down the body. I can't stress enough how much you have to be careful when you're using a multi-trebled lure. So that's a small pike, but you can see that lure, very bright. It's got like a pearl white back end of the body and a red head. It's really high contrast, and pike are ambushers, so they like to hang around structure and also weed beds, and then when something comes within range, they lash out at it and hit it. So this is a very good lure to use for northern pike. Okay, I'm going to get this guy back in the water and see if I can get a few bigger ones. is fun. We got a nice sunny day, good weather, and we're just casting artificials and hooking a variety of pike and smallmouth bass. This is another smaller pike, but they're so much fun. And I see that he hit that husky jerk head first. He's got that first treble, I think, in his mouth, either the first or the second one. You know, one thing that I really enjoy using when I'm pike fishing is a little bit stiffer rod. The rod that I've got here is called Concept TI. It's made by Rapala, and I have a shift bait casting reel on it, and I'm using that Suffix 832 line. I find that the bait casters, especially when you get them in medium action, tend to be a little bit stiffer, so they're ideal for casting and setting the hook with artificials, especially ones like Rapalas that have 3 trebles on them. And the braid, I find, is very good when you're twitching like we are today, because there's no stretch. So when you give your rod tip a jerk, that lure goes through the water the same distance that you give your rod a twitch. So I'm trying to be a little bit patient here. I don't mind if this guy gets off, because I don't want him to be too green when I try to grab him. He's got that Rapala sideways in his mouth. You see, he doesn't like it. Okay. When you do this, when you grab a pike like this, you have to have it in what I call like the clench of death. You can't be light, because if it feels that it's not held strong, it'll flap out of your hands, and that's when it can become very dangerous. Especially if there are hooks exposed on the outside of the fish. When the fish is falling, it can catch your body parts, like your arm or your leg. So you can see he's got that front hook in his mouth right there, and the center one in the middle. So that's where he hit, I believe, head first, right there. The fish are so healthy here. You know, when you're fishing Lake Huron, these fish come from cold water, deep water, and they move onto the shorelines and the weed beds to feed on a variety of food. Mostly bait fish, but sometimes smaller pike and smaller bass. So they're very healthy here when you come up to Wikwemikong. He should take off very quickly. Is he playing a sleeper? Come on. I know I didn't have it out of the water too long. There he goes. You know, when you're looking for pike, it helps to know where the weed lines are and where the shoals are. And here in McGregor Bay, we're fishing on Lake Huron. There's so much of it. I mean, look, it looks like we're in a small area, but this is just a mess of bays that covers a very big area. So we're looking for some of the bigger pike, but we don't mind getting these smaller guys in between. And what we're doing is just casting these twitch baits, hard baits, and this guy might fall off, which isn't such a bad thing, because he threw on his jump. He threw 2 of the hooks out of his mouth. See if he'll come back up here. So the reason we're using these twitch baits, they're the husky jerk, and I'm using the size 14, which is 14 centimeters long, is because there's so much up and down, and it's a good lure to fish at all depths from the surface, where the weeds come right up, right down to about 10-15 feet. So this guy was hooked. He hit the lure broadside, but in that jump, he threw the other 2 hooks, which is very common for northern pike. Okay, there's a nice little northern. You know, if we were having shore lunch, he'd be a good eating size fish. But there are northerns and muskie here in McGregor Bay that would eat this fish. Now, the color that I chose to go with here, this is one of the new colors from Rapala. It's actually called their Smelt, and it's their live series. So you can see that it has a very light colored back, like a green back, and then it has that light shade of blue, and then that white belly. So it looks like a smelt. And throughout Lake Huron and the other Great Lakes, smelt are one of the major forage that pike and muskie will feed on, especially when they're in large schools and close to shore. So on that, I've got a very interesting leader. This is called Toothy Critter. It's an actual leader material that you can twist around itself and then heat it with a lighter and the plastic melts. So there's no knot if you take a close look at that. And I'm just using a short one. This one is about 8 inches long because there's a mix of smallmouth bass and largemouth bass throughout this part around Manitoulin Island and McGregor Bay. And you can see I've just used a very simple knot to connect it. So it almost looks like line. You don't even see the leader. This is a very good system to use, whether you like to fly fish, because you can actually melt the material together to form the leader, or if you're fishing in an area where there's multi-species, where you maybe have a chance of catching smallmouth bass, muskie, and pike. And here, fishing around Manitoulin Island, you might even get some surprises, get some rainbow trout, because there's lots of rainbows out here. So it's a very good lure to use. So right now, even though we're out from this bay, most fishermen would go right in and fish the grass that's back there. That's very shallow, and they would probably catch fish, but the chances of catching a larger fish diminish. So what we're doing, we're in 22 feet of water, and I know that because I've got my sonar here and a sonar at the back, and we're casting to the outside of the weed line that's coming out from this bay. So if you watch me, you'll see it. I'm just reeling, and I don't really stop reeling, and I'm twitching at the same time. And usually you get a really good thump. The fish whack it. So when you think of fishing this part of Lake Huron in Manitoulin Island, there's so much structure, cover, vegetation, and it's so scenic. Like if you look here, you can see the big rock outcrops, the big hills in the background, and every direction that I look in here, all I see is islands, rock outcrops, which means there's a lot of structure, so the fish can be anywhere. I'm here with Luke Wasagijic, and we're standing at the site of the 3rd annual Wikwemikong Pike and Bass Classic. Luke, you're the person that's coordinated this thing. Tell me a little bit about the history, how come you started it, and also how it's progressed over the years, and maybe, you know, some of the highlights of every year's event.
Well, you know, Italo, it's a 3rd annual Pike and Bass Classic. Again, it's grown every year. You know, we started out with about 50 fishermen. This year we went up to about 111. So it was, you know, it was a good turnout. And again, one of the reasons why Wikwemikong Tourism is involved in a lot of these fishing events is to draw regional tourism to our area. And you know, and to showcase some of the great fishing that we have in some of the waters around Lake Huron and Manitoulin Island. We have the big annual ice fishing derby, which you had the pleasure of coming down to see, and where we're fishing for rainbow trout. So again, that's always a big event. And we have this one here in the summertime, which is the Pike and Bass Classic, which is, you know, which is a big event. It's, you know, it's getting bigger every year. So, you know.
Well, we met a lot of people. It was nice to see so many young people catch big fish. What was the biggest pike? 20
The biggest
something?
pike was 24 pounds. It's caught by a 13-year-old little boy, so it was good.
And what was the biggest bass?
The biggest bass was about 6 pounds.
Yeah, those are big fish.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there was a muskie entered, about 20 pounds. There was a dogfish.
Right.
So that was the mystery fish over 6 pounds.
Right.
So maybe I got to get you on the dogfish next time so that we can do a dogfish show.
For sure.
Maybe not, I'm just teasing. Anyway, Luke, we had a great time.
Always a pleasure, Italo.
I'm looking forward to coming back.
Oh,
This
you
is
will.
Great. Oh, yeah, meeting so many nice people.
Thank you.
Oh, nice jump. Look at this. Come on, are you going to jump again? I've got that small drop shot hook in its mouth. You know, we're fishing up here. I keep repeating. We're on Lake Huron. Feels like we're out in the ocean, close to some islands, because the water is crystal clear. I mean, you can see bottom in 20 feet of water. And we're getting these trophy smallmouth bass. Look. Fishing in water that's like 2 to 4 feet deep. They're coming up on these shoals to feed. And we're using a variety of presentation, but really the TriggerX, the plastic grubs, are the ones that are working great. This one just took one of the finesse minnows. It's about 4.5 inches long. Hopefully I'll land it so I can show it to you. But, oh, it's got the hook just in the side of the mouth. I thought he had swallowed it. And I think he threw the minnow away. Come on up. Just trying to get him back here so I can land him. Come on over here. Good bass. He's not hook deep. This is a good test to see how strong those hooks are, because they're not very big. Come on. They don't like to be thumbed. Come on. And I can't flip them in because I got a light leader on. That's the whole idea of drop shotting. There. Isn't that a nice smallmouth? That fish will go probably over 4 pounds. I mean, it's hard now to judge weight because I've got so many fish from 4 to 6 pounds. But this is the drop shot rig. I'm up about 14 inches, and look at how well that hook, this is called a spin shot hook. You can see it right there. It's unique because the hook is on a swivel. If you can see that swivel that's right there. So when you tie 2 pieces of line, your main line and then your tag line, on either end of those eyes, the hook faces upwards. So you see the way you get a great hook set. That hook is right through the top of the fish. So hopefully I can get this off without the pliers. These are almost like a circle hook. So the fish won't let go. Gotta be careful I don't break my leader here. This guy's got lots of energy. Oh, there he goes, he threw the hook. So let me just hold him up one more time for you. You know what, it's hard to hold a bass that size. Is that a nice smallmouth? Right here from Wikwemikong. I mean, we've done rainbow trout shows up here in the summertime. We've done ice fishing shows, covered their ice fishing event. This week we're up here covering their Wikwemikong bass and pike event. And these are the size of fish the people are getting. And a lot of them going to the event for the fishing, not really for the prizes and money, even though there's lots of good prizes and money. That's a nice bass. Let me get him back in. And you're gonna see, you can see that bottom, how clear the water is. I'm gonna try to extend him out and hold him there for a split second. He wants to go. Look at.
Closed captioning by Petra-Pod, the only trailer that flips into a boat in less than a minute.
You know, traditionally, pike fishing is good early and late in the day, but we're here fishing in the middle of the day. It's like 1 o'clock, and I'm hoping this guy's not going to go around the motor. He hit just off this rock shoal that you see here. And as you can see, we got a lot of shoals and islands here in this part of Lake Huron. Man, this guy's staying under the boat. I didn't think he was that big. Maybe just the way he hit. Ah, he's kind of lassoed. This is interesting. He's got one hook. This guy's really thick. He's got one hook in his mouth. He's a gorgeous pike. Can you see how clear this water is? It's worth coming out here to Manitoulin Island in Wikwemikong, even if you don't fish in their events. But you should come up here and fish in their bass and walleye derby. What was that? I think that was a pike. Hello. It's kind of weird the way he's got the line around his maxillary, so I got to be very careful here and swing him up. Come on. Man, is this guy thick? He's like a football. I think I'm going to get my glove for this guy. Look, good idea to wear painter pants, right? You can stick the glove right in the side. Oh, I see what's happened. This is interesting. What's happened is the fish hit and the line is also wrapped around his head. I got a bit of an issue here because that rappel is right down his side. So I've got a bunch of tools here that I've got laying at the front of the boat. We call these pike tools. So see if I can get this guy turned. Man, is he thick. I hope I land him just to show you. This guy's so thick. He's been feeding really well. Now what I'm doing, a very good trick, I'm letting off on my drag because pike are notorious for making those runs right when you go to land them, especially when you try to grab them with the glove. I don't want to really use the net because I don't want to get the lure stuck in the net because the rappel is on the side of his mouth. So this is going to be kind of challenging. See if he'll be quiet for me. Oh, good fish. Now, can you believe how short and thick he is? He's actually hard to hold on to because he's so thick. I think this is the shortest, thickest fish I've caught when it comes to pike. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the husky jerk out of his mouth. So look at the way this guy hit. He's got one hook at the top. So at least he's not hook deep, I'm glad, because we're planning on releasing all our fish. And he had the other two on the side, which is common when you're using a rapala, but he wanted it. Now, we're going to try getting a weight on this fish. See what happens here. Hopefully, it'll stay on there in pounds, because I'm curious. You know what? This guy's almost 12 pounds. You can see the scale right here on the side. So for a short pike, I'm going to take a measurement too because I got a board to measure the fish. For a short pike, that guy's almost 12 pounds. So let me just measure him over here. He is stubby and fat. He's 32 inches. Isn't that a gorgeous fish? See if I can just gently slide my hand there. Hopefully he won't thrash. It's hard for me to believe that this guy is 12 pounds. That's amazing. Okay, I'm going to hold him in the water by the tail. Or I won't, depending what happens here. Okay, my goodness. I thought I was going to have to revive that fish a little bit, but he took off.
First off, guys, thank you so much for coming out and joining us at the 3rd Annual Pike and Bass Classic. Today, and over the course of the weekend, we reached some record numbers here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Last year, we did about 74. This year, we did a total of 111 fishermen, 91 paid. So congratulations, guys. Really, without you guys, we couldn't make it happen. First place at 27 pounds, 13 ounces, combined weight, Mr. Robert Trudeau. And if anybody's seen Robert's aerator, so he is one of the guys fishing out in South Bay, and this is effort. He come in with a cooler, an aerator, and a 12-volt battery all hooked up together. Good job.
Good job.
Weighing in at a huge and blowing everyone out of the water at 41 pounds, 12 ounces, with a big monster at 24 pounds that he brought in yesterday, Mr. Noah Manitowabi.
Canadian sport fishing is brought to you by Suffix. Always use the best line. Yamaha. Conquer Outdoors. Defend Products. Eco-friendly protection from biting insects. Dickies. Quality workwear since 1922.
So there's a weed line in about 13 feet of water. So what I'm doing is I'm casting this rappel. It's a Husky Jerk number 12, and I'm just twitching it and reeling. So this is very important for those of you that like to twitch fish with a hard bait. Don't have too much slack when you're twitching your lure. So what I'm doing, if you watch, is I'm moving my rod, snapping it about 2 or 3 feet, but I'm never pausing my left hand. And I'm doing that so that I pick up the slack line. When it gets out off the weed edge, I put my rod in the water, stick it down so that that lure goes down another 2-3 feet, which is a very good tip because as I come off the weeds, the water's going to get deeper.